Okay, now we're going to look at page 853 and we're going to review bar graphs and look at pictographs. So on page 853 at the top you have an example of a bar graph, and this bar graph shows hockey goals scored by players, and it has names of players at the bottom, and then it has the number of goals here. And the main thing I want you to notice about the number of goals on the side here is that it's not done necessarily by ones. This goes 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, but notice there is a line in between those, so you can see that, okay, there really is ones, they just didn't put all the numbers there. So let's look at the guided practice that goes along with that bar graph as a review. Number 1, explain how to find how many more goals Alex scored than Cindy. Well, first we're going to have to find out how many goals did Alex score. And if this is 8, then this one right here has to be 9, doesn't it? And then Cindy is in between 6 and 8, so that would be 7. To find out how many more is usually subtraction, or always subtraction in this case. So 9 minus 7 is 2. So that would be 2 more goals. And I would first of all read the bar graph, and then I would do subtraction. How many goals in all did Alex and Reggie score? Well, I already know Alex, and I wrote that there, so I don't have to read that again. Now I just have to look at Reggie, and Reggie scored 8. So if I want to know how many in all, I would add those together. And 9 plus 8 equals 17. All right, on our independent practice right here, we have the pictograph. Now, in a pictograph, you want to make sure that you have, first of all, looked at the key at the bottom. So we know that a whole light bulb equals 10 hours. If a whole light bulb equals 10 hours, then half a light bulb equals 5 hours. They gave that to us on this one. A lot of times they don't give you that half. You have to figure that out. So if we're going to answer questions, we're going to use that information to help us out. One thing I like to do is I like to go ahead and just figure out what each one is, so I don't have to do that as I go along. So let's just count. We'll count by tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and then that would be 75. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 5 more would be 55. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So this would be 50. Okay, so now I can answer questions easily. Which area has lights on for the most hours each week? Well, that would be 90, so that would be the locker room. Number 4, which areas has lights on for 50 hours each week? 50 is at tennis courts. And then in 1 week, how many more hours are lights on in the exercise room than the swimming pool? Well, exercise is 75, swimming pool is 55. How many more, again, is subtraction, so that would be 20 more hours. Not too difficult. All right, let's go to the next page, and let's look at 6 through 8. Explain how many units does each grid line on the graph represent? How do you know? Well, they have labeled by tens, but there's a line in between. So that means that each grid line would have to represent 5, because that's the only thing that makes sense, because halfway in between 0 and 10 is 5. So each line equals 5 miles per hour, actually, according to what's down here. And how do I know? Well, because half of 10 is 5. And that's how I know. All right, number 7, analyze information. Which animal in the graph has the greatest Top running speed. How do you know? Well, the greatest top running speed is the cheetah because the bar is the longest. Pretty simple, right? Okay, number 8. How much greater is the top running speed of the coyote than the grizzly bear? Okay, so this is where we're going to have to read it. Well, the coyote is at 40 and the grizzly bear is at 30. How much greater would be like saying how much more. So that's 40 minus 30. That would be 10. So your answer would be B on that one. All right, if you would like to try 9 and 10 by yourself, pause this video and then come back to it and check. Otherwise, do it with me. Number 9, estimation. To the nearest 10,000, about how many seats are in the Rose Bowl? Well, these are to the nearest 10,000, and each football is 10,000. So let's see how many footballs we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that would be 90,000, wouldn't it? Okay, so that's 90,000. And my explanation is 1 football equals 10,000. And there are 9 footballs would equal 90,000. Makes sense, right? Now notice I did label those so that I didn't miscount. I think that's really important on questions like this. Number 10, extend your thinking. How could you order the seating from greatest to least in the amount of seating without using the numbers? Well, I would look at the number of footballs. Well, we would have the Cowboys Stadium and the Pasadena Rose Bowl are the same. Then it would be the Superdome, and then it would be Soldier Field. So I would look at the number of footballs in order greatest to least. So technically that's all I would have to do. I want you to make sure you watch this video again if you feel like you need more practice, and then you can work on the quizzes. Have a great week.